Trigger warning. This podcast contains details from emotional abuse survivors. Welcome back to Emotional Abuse is Real. I'm so glad you're here. I'm your host, Sarene Leeds, and today I'm excited to share an interview I did with an emotional abuse survivor named Jessica. She's a mom of 2 girls, and what I loved about her story is how, through therapy and hindsight, she is now the most excited she's ever been about her future. I was also thrilled to talk to her because our chat was a long time coming. As I've mentioned on this podcast before, the idea for Emotional Abuse is Real came from an article I wrote back in the summer of 2022. Even though I wrote and filed the piece, it's still yet to be published, and the outlet in question refuses to give me any updates. The last thing I wanted was for the stories of emotional abuse survivors to continue going unheard. So I decided to start this podcast so they could share their experiences in a way where their stories aren't whittled down to a handful of sentences. Anyway, Jessica reached out to me last summer to participate in the article, but by the time I heard from her, I already had enough participants. But I wanted to make sure she had the opportunity to tell her story. So you can imagine my gratitude when she agreed to appear on this podcast. Jessica, thank you so much for opening up to me and for sharing your story. Also, for privacy reasons, Jessica will be referred to by her first name. And on a technical note, I do want to mention that I'm still learning the ins and outs of the podcasting process, which is a polite way of saying that for some reason I came off sounding rather muffled in this interview. Thankfully, and more importantly, Jessica's audio is crystal clear, but I do apologize for this technical snafu in this particular episode. My goal, of course, is to get better at this as time goes on. So please, if you want to share your story on the podcast, this is your reminder to get in touch by emailing me at hello@sereneleads.com or by DMing me at Sarene Leads Writes. I'll leave all of this info in the show notes as well because it's very easy to misspell my name. So, without further ado, here's Jessica's story. Hi, Jessica. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and talking to me. I would love to hear your emotional abuse story.
Thank you so much for your invitation, and I'm very glad to be here. I would have to say now, after going through counseling and therapy, that I realized that the reason why I ended up in those situations wasn't, it was kind of had a lot to do with issues back then, and I ended up in, relationships that kind of resembled what I went through growing up, and been a lot of acceptance and work, but I made it. And yeah, you just don't realize how you get there. You're just kind of one day, you just don't even know what happened. It's like a you know, I don't even know how to explain it, but and everybody's like, why can't you just leave? And your family's mad at you, and you cannot. And Um, it took for me having children to get out of that cycle, and just I could not do that to them. And I'm grateful for it, though. I learned a lot, and I wouldn't have my kids, and so it's been a ugly, pretty story. For me. Um, it just gets a little bit, it starts off with a little bit of anger, and just you start little fights at first, and then you get the gaslighting and all of that, and you love them, um and so yeah, I mean, it took 10 years for me and him to split.
Yeah. So you, I just, so we're clear. So you were emotionally abused by a romantic
Yeah.
partner.
Yeah.
Okay. Because one of the things that I talk about on this podcast is that it's not necessarily a romantic partner.
Okay.
My experience actually was with a boss.
Okay.
So I'm want to hear everyone's
Yeah.
story. So yeah, just um, I if you could, maybe give me some examples of the gaslighting and how it built up from, because it's true, you don't realize it when you're in the thick of it when it's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I mean when it comes to that, it's just making you think that you're, crazy, and
Mhm.
it's not even that, and it's emotional. It's like you're traumatized after. It really really is. And I mean, I guess some of the ways is, n- not coming home, and then it's like I believe you, but then I go out for like 5 minutes and I'm getting accused of things. It's kind of like emotional. Like, I mean, I really trust, you, and it's, not the same in return. And so kind of like it messes with your brain, because people are like, they're, well, that means that they're, doing something. And it's like, you don't believe that because you're just that emotion. And um, I don't know.
So so you were so he wasn't trusting you, so then you started to doubt yourself. Is that what started happening?
Yeah, I mean, you're almost like you're scared to like leave, and you're like, I'm making sure, your location's on because you don't want to get in trouble. But then it's like but you're just so in love, you don't think that they're doing anything, and you believe anything. And I mean, yeah, I don't know.
How long was this relationship?
This relationship was, I would say, 5 years. We split up for 3 years. He did everything in his power. He changed. He really, really did. Got me. Soon as he got me, it was like a whirlwind 360. So there goes another 2 years. So it's like a 10-year total of just the ugliness.
Yeah, and so what happened? Was there any specific moment where you realized this isn't healthy for me and I need to do something about it, whether it's end the relationship, get therapy? Yeah.
Well, you know that the whole time. It's like, you just don't know how, and for me, it just got to the point where he wanted me to leave. So it kind of worked out, because I'm like, I would have never left, probably, I wouldn't have. And so I'm grateful for that. And of course, then comes the emotional again. No, and I could not anymore. He's like, let's, make it work. And I couldn't. I was upset, and it was hard, but I was kind of glad that he did that he was ready, because, I probably wouldn't have been able to, because I was just blind.
So it sounds like he kept pulling you back in.
hmm
Yeah, and because was it that you kept thinking that maybe this time it would be different?
like I said, it took a lot of counseling, but I kind of came to find out that this person was just a spitting image of my dad. It was crazy how it works. Is like I had to realize that it was just like he resembled my dad. It wasn't even more anything else. We were not compatible. It was just that, you know, um, going to counseling, and, seeing that I had other issues that I weren't resolved. And it kind of, so, and that seeing it that way changed everything.
Okay, so about your father. So did you find that your dad was treating you in a way where he didn't trust you? Is that what was it that you came to realize about how you had been treated, and then you saw those similarities in your partner?
It's kind of the being upset at you, but it's like because I love you, or being,
Hmm.
you know, I had to, beat you because, I love you type thing, and I had to, I'm not sure if that makes sense.
No, it does. Was it something like tough love?
Tough love, yeah, yeah. But
Okay.
different from my dad now looking back, we've come a long way, and it was different. It's just in your mind, your subconscious, I guess, just attracts you. And it wasn't until,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know why. I felt like everybody was like, why? Like, and it's just, I don't know. It was a deeper, deeper issue.
Yeah, yeah. No, because I've I've seen some people who mirror what you're describing quite a bit. So what you're describing to me, look, I like to make it very clear I am not a mental health professional, but I have been in therapy for many years, and I am an emotional abuse survivor. So I have started to be able to recognize these kinds of signals. And so what you're saying does make a lot of sense. I'm not in a position where I can say it's common, but it doesn't sound rare either. So, how long has it been since you've been out of that relationship?
It has been a year and a half.
And how are you feeling?
I am great.
Uh huh.
I'm great, grateful. I mean, I'm nothing but good things have happened since. So,
Like what?
I mean, like this,
Okay.
this, like there was a time where I mean, I couldn't even get out of bed, when everything goes on, and so, I mean, my job, my kids, they're happy, and so, yeah, I mean,
um, can can you tell me what you do professionally?
I'm an administrative assistant.
Uh huh. Okay.
For
Wonderful.
our company, and so, um, yeah, I mean, it, it's a really, really amazing job. Or have been able to get that, and just like I said, the things I'm working on, kind of starting a little personal business. So I'm just in the beginning stages of that, and I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's so. Did you feel that you could even contemplate anything like that while you were in this relationship?
Never, no,
Okay.
not at all. I wouldn't not have been here, yeah, doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. And what can you tell me about your kids? I'm a mom too, so I always like talking to fellow mom. Yeah.
And I mean, they're my whole world, and
Yeah.
I mean, I just love them so much. I'm sure you understand, but
Of course.
they're great, great girls, and um, we're happy. We're very, very happy, and I just,
Good.
you know,
And how old are they?
one is 10 years old, and the other is just turned 2 years old.
Oh, that's wonderful. And just, I mean, I'm asking these questions so I can get a better idea of you. And if you want me to edit this out, I will. So, is this partner the girl's father?
It is. It is.
Okay, okay. And were you guys married or were you just
No.
together? Just together. Okay, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, that's totally cool. So, I mean, what I'm looking to do with this podcast is to help people recognize the signs of emotional abuse. So if you can give me any other examples of things that your partner did to you that you now know are emotionally abusive, I think that would be just really helpful for the listeners. And you just like because like when it's happening, you don't know. I mean, that's something that we all know. Like when you're in the thick of it, you don't realize it. It's only after the fact that you come to those realizations.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I guess just the, I wouldn't know how to put it. Let me think. Give me a second. Sorry. Um, just like the not being able to feel like yourself. I mean, just anxiety. Like you get anxiety when they come around and you're not really happy, and it's almost like you get nervous, like when it just doesn't feel natural, and you should just want to feel like that and not be
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you say you had like a sense of dread?
I could say that it got to that. Yeah.
It got
Yeah.
to that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's no way to live with someone who
That's
you're
what I'm saying.
supposed to.
Fish was
Yeah.
different. It wasn't, maybe it was a little more heavy. I'm not sure, what emotional status, you were kind of looking for, what, more, not whether it was like romantic or like you said with your boss. I didn't think about it like that. So,
Right. Okay. Um, no, because if this is someone who you're spending your life with, that's no way to feel where you feel anxious or nervous about yourself. So, um, what what have you learned from this experience?
just put yourself first. Make sure you're happy first, no matter what. You want to, try to keep other, who you're with happy. And it's just, they, if you're not happy, it doesn't even matter. I mean, that's just my.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like especially women are always told like your happiness always comes second, and I don't think that that's true. Whether you have kids or not, you I'm of the belief that you can't be a good parent to your kids if you yourself are not happy, if you're not doing okay. So I'm really glad that you said that, because I want people to know, like, it does not mean you have to have kids, or anything like that. But you do. One of my mottos is you have to do what's best for you.
Yeah.
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 So let's see what else. What would you say are the signs of emotional abuse? Like, what are some red flags that people should look out for?
I mean, just the mind games. I mean, trying to make you feel wrong or not understanding, even if they don't want to understand, okay, then just let them be. Like, don't keep trying to explain something to them because they're just gonna turn it around on you, or try to mess with. I mean, some of them are masterminds, and you don't.
Yeah, yeah, that is something that I've been learning a lot about emotional abusers. They know how to twist your words around and try to make you think that you're the bad person here.
And I feel like sometimes they don't even know that they're doing that. It's like that's
Hmm.
what how they are. So you're gonna tell them, and they don't believe it because they're just it just yeah.
Yeah, I find that they're never going to believe that they were in the wrong. So it's in many ways it's not worth trying to teach them, you know, what they've been doing. So on that note, because he is the father of your kids, what is your situation right now? What is the setup? Does he see the kids?
Um,
Okay.
no, he does not. He can't even come around. He's just so embarrassed. Like I can feel it, he's just so just like, wow, like I'm a fool. Like he cannot bring himself. So my kids do see him at their family,
Okay.
their grandmother's gatherings. She gets them quite often, and he will occasionally, but he cannot bear to be around. And it's like I show up, he has to leave because,
He's making it about himself.
of course, yeah. That's a narcissist, and he's and I feel like he's thinks that I'm gonna be like, oh, he's not giving me attention, so I'm pretty sure that's how he sees it in his mind, and he can't, but he's embarrassed. He he did a lot, and I mean, I ended up okay. So
I love hearing stories like that because really is the best way to move on from these kinds of relationships. Um, that I mean, because it's healthy for you, it's healthy for your kids, and the abuser just has to deal with it. And in many ways, they can't, but it's not your problem anymore.
Yep. Yep. It took a long time, don't get me wrong, and it took a lot of pain
No,
and a lot of tears and hurt, but I mean, here we are.
yeah, but you did it, and that's what's important. What is one thing that you want the public to know and understand about emotional abuse?
Don't blame yourself. Um, don't, because there's always a deeper rooted issue, whether in them or yourself, which you don't realize. And just, I mean, it's not ever gonna just be your fault, ever, ever, no matter what. And you, you know, it took therapy and counseling for me, but you end up seeing that, whoa, this was something way different than what I was actually experiencing. It was about many other things than what was going on at the moment.
I'm now asking this question because it was the question that I was trying to ask in the article. Why do we need to talk about emotional abuse?
Because our daughters are growing up and they are going to experience it and they are going to go through it. And there's probably no doubt about that, but how they react and how they handle it. And, you know, that's going to make the difference. And I mean, that's what kind of I had to start, you know, going really deep because I could not have my own children. Me knowing what's right and wrong, you know, you try to guide them, but at least they know that these issues are out there and how to spot a red flag. And so that kind of did it for me.
Thank you once again for listening to Jessica's story on Emotional Abuse is Real. And if you would like to share your emotional abuse story here on the podcast, please don't hesitate to reach out at hello@sereneleads.com or through Instagram at Serene Leads Rights. That's SareneleedsWrites. Please note that this podcast should not be used as a substitute for professional mental health services. If you are a victim of emotional abuse and need help, please call or text the Suicide and Crisis Hotline at 988. Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe or even write a review, and I'll see you next time.